Attention. Due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 106 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And this is Brian, and we have an exciting show today. We were lucky enough to get a great interview with Tony West, who is the director of the new hit Shudder original DEADTECTIVES, which we've mentioned before. So we'll get to that right after the first chop, but we actually wanted to go over a little bit of housekeeping. Costa Radio fans will know what that is. I just added that in to save Tim from having to find that sound effect or steal it from Mike and EB. But basically, we're going to do things a little different just because of some travel that Tim has. We are going to do spread the Phantasm Slaycation into 3 episodes, so that way you're going to get we didn't want to give you a minisode again while Tim was gone or I'm gone. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do Phantasm 1 this week, Phantasm 2 the following week, and then the third week will be 3, 4, and 5. So I think that's we just figured, we discussed it. We went back and forth all weekend pretty much trying to figure this out. And we're like, we don't want to give them another mini-sode. It's just not,
I mean, we probably made it way more complicated than it actually needed to be, but I think this works. And Phantasm 2 doesn't really deserve, I guess, its own episode, so it's kind of a weird split, but bear with us. At least you get a full episode next week while I'm out, so
right.
I think it'll be worth it. So.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, let's get right into it. Here is our first chop. All right, Brian, my 40 Years of Terror project continues. This week it was 1995. 1995 was not a great year for horror movies. You did have some sequels. You had Candyman Farewell to the Flesh. What else do we have? I was looking up here, and I didn't see any that really floated my boat. I guess you had Demon Knight, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, Village of the Damned, Castle Freak, which we've covered before. That was good. Yeah. Species, which is kind of a classic, Tales from the Hood. So maybe a little bit better than I thought. Halloween, Curse of Michael Myers, The Mangler, Ice Cream Man with...
Oh, no, but that's a Darcy favorite. You can't just just pass that one up.
Well, true,
Clint Howard.
Clint Howard classic. A lot of sequels for 1995. Children of the Corn 3, Texas Chainsaw, The Next Generation. Leprechaun 3 was 1995. The one I picked was one that fell through the cracks for me. I've never seen it. It's one that I think people generally think pretty highly of. And you have to remember, 1995 for me was college. That was me really getting into college life, and I did not have time for horror movies. I really didn't see a lot of horror during that time in my life. It wasn't until a little bit later in the decade of the 90s when DVD came out that I really started getting back into horror. So I picked Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions.
Oh, that's a good one, though.
So that's a really good one. I was really impressed with this one. I really, really like this one because it combines two of the things I love the most, horror and magic.
I thought you were going to say Clive and Barker, but no. That'll work.
Well, that too. But, magic... in terms of not the demonic magic, but in terms of just, prestidigitation, the illusion, the stagecraft of magicians and stuff. I love all that stuff. I've always loved it since I was a kid. And my granddad used to take me to every magic show that came to town. He took me to magic shops. He bought me some really nice, expensive books on magic that I still own today.
Nice.
So that kind of stuff, man, I absolutely love. So this was really right up my alley. And it's got a lot of that weird Clive Barker imagery that doesn't always translate well to film. But I think in this movie, it somehow it really worked. I mean, there was still some kind of wonky CGI effects, which you have to forgive because it was 1995. But I thought it held up pretty well considering. And I really, really enjoyed this one. Of course, you got Scott Bakula doing his thing, which... all I could think of was him being in Quantum Leap and just finding himself inside of a Clive Barker universe.
Actually, and you gave me a great, I think a great Halloween mashup costume would be Bram Stoker's Bakula. What do you think?
I like that. I really like that.
I challenge you. That's your costume, Tim.
So, I love Lord of Illusions. It was a very, very pleasant surprise. And I don't usually... I hate to say it. I'm a big Clive Barker fan in terms of his novels and stuff, but his movies just don't always translate well. So I wasn't really going into this one with high expectations, but man, I was blown away. I really, really like this one.
Now, and it's not like really horror related, but it's magic adjacent. What did you think of the Now You See Me series?
I have not seen that series yet.
Oh my God, Tim.
I know. And I've had people tell me, Tim, you got to watch these movies. They're like right up your alley. And I'm like, I just happen to have not seen them yet.
Oh my God, you will love them. I will say, and normally I'm always about the director's cut, but the extended director's cut of Now You See Me, I don't recommend because it actually slows the pace of the movie down a little bit. There's a lot more stuff in it that slows down some of the sequences that actually hinders the movie. And Julie and I had watched the first one literally like 40 times before I watched. I wanted to show it to my mom one weekend, and I'm like, oh, I think you'll like this because she likes those movies. So we showed her the Blu-ray copy that I had. And the Blu-ray one had the extended cut. So I'm like, oh, extended cut. It had some more fun to it. But it actually slowed the movie down. So do yourself a favor, watch the regular cut.
Okay, yeah, I definitely need to watch this. You're not the first person that's told me I need to watch those. And like I read a lot of magician books. Like I just finished, not too long ago, I finished another Houdini book. I read one about, God, now I can't even think of the guy's name. That's terrible. Thurston? I think it's Thurston.
Howell the Third?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. No, but he was one of the original, like, big magicians at the same Houdini contemporary. There's a great novel called Carter Beats the Devil, which is another fantastic, if you like magic.
Oh, I heard of that.
It's a fictional novel, but it's really, really good. In fact, Neil Patrick Harris, Barney, in How I Met Your Mother, had a poster of Carter Beats the Devil inside of his apartment.
Oh, that's right. He did.
Yeah, so that's a really, really good one. So man, I just love magic stuff. So yeah, Lord of Illusions was definitely right up my alley, and I really, really liked it.
Nice.
Also, Brian, I am starting back up my backlog project because I've really only got like 9 discs. Now, when I say discs, some of these are box sets, so they're a little bit longer than they look. But I really have 9 objects I've got to get through.
Objects.
So, objects, whatever you call them. So I decided to resume that. Now, I'm not going to really talk about those in length unless it's a movie that I haven't seen before. But I figured I would just mention it so you guys know that I haven't stopped my backlog project. It's still in progress. And so I did watch the second of the 3 Child's Play commentaries today. And this one was with the director and producer, and it was really, really good. Nice. So both commentaries I've watched on the Child's Play disc are excellent. And the third one is going to be weird because it's a Chucky commentary. For selected scenes in Brad Dourif's voice, of course. So that one's going to be kind of weird. But so the backlog project continues, guys. I will get through them eventually if I can stop buying Blu-rays.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. And there's a lot of good ones coming out because we'll get to later in a first chop. So that might be harder than it normally might have been for Tim. So we'll see.
I'm drinking the Brew Free or Die that I was drinking last week.
The same one, or is it a new one at least?
It's a new one. I just cracked. But this thing's actually really good. Like, I don't typically like 21st Amendment stuff.
But they make some good stuff. Some of their beers are really good, actually. Not all, but some are good.
It's one of those breweries that I like. I think they're okay. Like, I don't think they're bad by any stretch of the imagination, but like most of their stuff I think is just kind of like middle of the road. But I really love the Hell or High Watermelon. That's one of my favorites. And then this one actually is really, really good. I had not had the Brew Free or Die, but it's actually a really good IPA.
Yeah, actually Julie likes that one. And you know Julie's big on her IPAs. That's one of her ones she likes. I mean, it's not by far her favorite. There's way more that are above that. And actually, speaking of that, I have to go back to the store because we actually found a really good source of some good discounted craft beer, and they had a new 6-point. It's a seasonal 6-point called Sparkler. It's a different type of. I believe it's a New England style IPA. So I'm gonna go up and get one for you because by the time I come see you in October, they probably won't be around. So I'm gonna try and grab one this week, so I have it and I'll save it and bring it out to you because I know you and Kev love your 6-point, and this one is like a really, really good IPA.
Well, hopefully it's not the Sparkle. I think it's called Sparkle. There's one that 21st Amendment had in this same variety pack. It's called Sparkler or Sparkle or something like that, and it's horrible. It's like somebody took Bud Light and mixed like a Zinfandel in it or something.
Oh yeah, no. This one's by 6-point. They did a good job on it. It's called that. It's like Sparkler or something, but it's not. It's by 6-point. So
And that's what I'm talking about with 21st Amendment. Like, they make some really good stuff that I love, like the Hell or High Watermelon and this one. And then they make some really, like, disgusting stuff. So they're like, very inconsistent.
Yeah, they can't stay on the course. But
yeah.
Speaking of consistency, though, I think that's a perfect segue into our next first chop, which is, of course, unless you've been living under a rock in the horror world, you have seen that now they have officially announced the 2 Halloween sequels, Halloween Kills in 2020, which I've seen some mixed feelings about the title. I'm okay with it.
I like the title. I think it's cool.
I mean, what did you want? Halloween 2 also, or Halloween 3 Part 2? I mean, what else are you going to put? I like when they kind of go a little bit differently, or you're not going to call it Halloween 2020. I mean, I'm fine with them giving a thing. I like the idea, and I am sure it'll be something that, when you see it all as a trilogy, that title will make even more sense. And then following the next year, breaking that rumor that they were coming out the same month, which, as cool as that sounded, still seemed odd. But
same month, different year.
Yeah, same month. Yeah, so it'll be in the following October in 2021. I put 2121 on there. That's not that far off. I apologize. I guess I just made it. I was typing quick. It's 2021. Halloween Ends, which will be the final saga, which we say final for this group. Would not be shocked if years later Michael Myers is back again in some form, maybe in a TV show or something, but this will not be the end of Michael Myers. It will be the end of this Michael Myers. But yeah, so the full team is back. That's, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis is back. David Gordon Green is back. Annie Matichak. Chak, depending on how you wanna mess that name up, which Tim and I have done it both ways. Judy Greer is back, and here's the exciting part for Tim. They're both filming in Wilmington, so there could be a cameo from Tim. I put that in question marks because it's not off the table that there could be a Tim cameo in this.
I've got to find a way to get on this set somehow and not get arrested.
Yes.
So this was confirmed by our local news, so it's now official. It's not just rumor. And Jamie Lee Curtis has been to Wilmington before. She actually filmed Virus here. Do you remember that movie Virus?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's actually been in Wilmington before. I found that out in the local news article that she had filmed here before. So that's really, really cool. I don't know. I don't know if there's any chance of me getting anywhere close to this production, but I do have some contacts in the film industry.
So I think you need to look those up. Look at them all up, get us all the information, and if they need they already killed off 2 podcasters in the first one, so why not kill 2 more off? And maybe Tim and I'll...
There's a lot of listeners who would love to have us killed off, you know that?
Yes, I can pretty much guarantee that. And some even non-listeners and just close personal friends, probably. But, so this is exciting news. But, see, no, I said, I bet you this is where that rumor came from, that they're going to be in the same month, because they're probably filming back-to-back. It's probably going to be where obviously 2 is first. I see, this is why it needs to be Halloween Kills. I'm just going to refer to it as that. When Halloween Kills ends, it will probably be a cliffhanger that will go right into 3. But not going to be like, is he alive? Is he dead? We obviously know he's not going to die in Halloween Kills unless they totally flip the script and make it totally crazy and something else. But
and so Halloween Ends is all about Silver Shamrock. That's what.
Right? Yeah. And that's the funny thing. They used all their nods in that in the first one. So I wonder if they're gonna what are they gonna do again now? It's like they pretty much did little Easter eggs to everything, but it should be either way. I am so excited for this. We now are guaranteed to have 2 more Halloween movies coming. This is awesome. I cannot wait. And so realize what is great is so that means next year we'll have the excitement of a trailer, and Tim and I will do our trailer videos again.
Yeah,
it'll be fun. It'll be really fun.
And I get to see all the locations in my hometown that they're filming in. That'll be really cool. So
yeah, and you got to go out there and get some snapshots and stuff.
So speaking of things that I'm really looking forward to, one of them is the Creepshow TV show trailer, which dropped, and man, this thing looks fantastic.
Yeah, it does. And it has that vintage 80s feel, but modernized at the same time, which is exactly what I was hoping it was going to be. So what is it? 8 episodes? 10 episodes? It's short. It's not.
I don't remember right off the top of my head.
But I want to say I think they're hour long, or at least 40 minutes length. So that's a lot. I mean, for when you're thinking of an episodic, nowadays episodic streaming show. So that is really exciting. We'll have to do like a special episode, I think, on those when they come out.
Yeah. That's going to be awesome. Yeah, and I totally botched our tweet to Shudder because I referred to him as the Crypt Keeper instead of the Creeper when I meant the Creeper. And
that's okay. Yeah, I mean, he I'm sure he'll forgive you. Shudder's probably confused, but other than that,
they're probably confused. I probably need to go delete that. But it's been a week, so I guess it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it's at that point. Well, that was like, what did I do? I sent out the tweet. That about the Casualty Friday, and I made a typo in it, and before I could even remove it, it got shared and liked by our good friends Felissa Rose and Tiffany Shepis, and I'm like, well, now I can't touch it. That's like I didn't wash my hand after after the hug we got from Felissa Rose. So I mean, that's the same thing, right?
No, this is why we need interns to handle our social media because we're not competent enough to do it ourselves.
Yeah, Tim's naming wrong characters. I'm making up words.
They were probably definitely confused. I don't know why I had Tales from the Crypt on the brain when it was actually the Creeper, but
because we do the voice all the time.
I don't know. But
it's
anyway.
all right.
Speaking of Twitter,
this saga never ends apparently.
So I'll let you take this one, Brian, because you know more about this one than I do.
Yeah. So apparently the awesome Soska sisters had posted some imagery from their upcoming film, and Twitter didn't like it, so they were banned. With all the stuff on Twitter, I don't know why this got targeted as something so bad. Like, I believe I saw it quickly before it got removed. It was not that bad from some of the things I've seen on there and some of the things that are said on there by certain people, which we will not name. But, so I guess after a whole big campaign, there was a change.org and everything was, a ton of support by everyone, including our buddy David Howard Thornton and Kim and Ket. They have now started a new Twitter account, but then, almost immediately after, they reinstated their original, only to be banned again today. So, and it was funny because I saw David posted it, and he goes, so they banned again. And so I went and looked, and sure enough, it's like it looks like you're blocked from them if you try. Because I went on them, I'm like, wait a minute, they're banned again? So I went on, and it said follow as if we weren't following them when we have been following them for the longest time, since it was one of the first people I followed as our Civil Gore account, because they were big fans. And so it basically clicks and says the user chose to block you, and I know that's not the case because they don't block people. And I guess unless you've done something to them. But so, and it basically looks like their just account is all like messed up. So yeah, so apparently they've been blocked again, and I don't get it. I really don't understand. They are trying to promote their film that they're working really hard on, and I don't know why Twitter's doing that. And same reason why I don't know why they block Darcy all the time. They put her in Twitter jail every Friday night.
Yeah, there's worse people you could block for sure.
Yes, and including some that I still don't understand how they even have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
But read between the lines on that one, because we try and stay, we don't try and get too involved in certain things here, but I'm sure you can get that. But yeah.
So we had a big news coming out of Comic-Con, which was the Scream Factory releases. They announced, what, was it 13 new titles?
I don't even lost count.
I don't know. I don't want to sit here and count all of them. It's a lot, but we'll go through them all. I feel like the woman in Pee-wee's Big Adventure who's telling you all the different uses of corn. And she's going to...
And I was thinking, it was like, when you said Pee-wee, I was thinking that, boy, this is becoming a Pee-wee-centric show here. This
really
is like three weeks in a row. I was thinking more of the thing when he was trying to do all the exhibits. It's like, Exhibit Q, a scale model of the entire mall! Like,
well, either Pee-wee reference you want to use, we're going to go through a lot of these right now. So.
Right, yes, basically, yes.
First up, The Abominable Snowman from 1957. Big Trouble in Little China, 1986. I'll definitely be grabbing that one because I've got the DVD collector's edition, but I definitely don't have this on Blu-ray.
I have the same one, yeah.
Body Parts, 1991. Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde from 1971. Dracula, 1979, collector's edition. That's actually a really good version of Dracula.
Is that the one with Frank Langella?
Dracula, I don't know.
Sorry, I missed you up.
You
Because
put me
that's
on
the
the
one I
spot.
saw in the theater, I believe, where my mom took me to see it in the theater because we could not get a babysitter. And I remember when he was crawling up the building, it gave me nightmares.
You know how hard it is to Google Dracula and find the one you're looking for?
I figured you just go to IMDb and write Dracula.
Yeah, that's the Franklin Gel. Yeah, that's,
okay,
that's right.
yeah, then that's the one. Yeah, that one gave me a nightmare because my mom took me, and there was that one sequence where he was crawling up the side of the building. I don't know what possessed my mom to take me to see that, but I liked it. Yes, later on, years later, I've seen it and enjoyed it. It was a very good one.
The Fan, 1981, the Fly Collection.
This one's awesome.
This is the 1958, 1959, 1965, 1986, and 1989. We have to go look those up. I don't know what the old Fly sequels were called. Obviously, the 80s one was Fly 1 and Fly 2.
Yes.
Let's Scare Jessica to Death from 1971. Another one I'm really looking forward to, My Bloody Valentine, 1981 Collector's Edition.
Wait, because the edition that came out a few years back was really good. But now this is a full Scream Factory Collector's Edition. I think this is going to probably have even more stuff on it. So this is, if there's a no-brainer for me on there, that's the one.
Yeah. Pet Sematary 2 Collector's Edition. Prophecy from 1979. Road Games 1981 Collector's Edition. Silver Bullet 1985 Collector's Edition.
That's the one I think we might do with Theme Park Families. I think we picked Silver Bullet to do that movie. I think that'd be a good
depending
one.
on when this Blu-ray comes out, we could probably time it to that. Somehow.
Right. I agree. We'll try and time it with that one because you're definitely going to have Adam and Andrew on for that one. So
the Universal Horror Collection Volume 3. We talked about Volume 2 coming out last week. This one collects movies from 1939 and 1941. And some more Scream Factory NECA figures. Suzanne and Stooge Demon 2-pack and Slumber Party Massacre's Russ Thorn. So those are cool. They're really delving into the more obscure stuff now with the
and the Suzanne, of course, and Stu. That's from Night of the Demons. That was Lena Quigley's character, and then the Stooge was that guy with the pig nose. But and also just we were gonna have Steve Cohn come on and go, but there really wasn't a lot of news other than stuff that we kind of already knew from NECA. I mean, other than just some more images of like the Pinhead stuff. So, and we talked about the spooky tunes or whatever, the ones we've already discussed it. So really there wasn't any revelation other than I think that Hellraiser was the only thing I don't think I knew was coming. The really good version of Pinhead.
Yeah, that one looked great.
I think that's the only really big news out of toy-wise for there. I mean, again, we knew about the Halloween 2 Michael Myers coming out, because I remember we joked about that a while ago. I think at the last show that came out that Cohn came on about we discussed that. So, so that's why we didn't have him on. We're going to save him on, though. He will come on for New York Comic Con because he'll be there attending. So we'll definitely have a good stuff from there. So
next up, Christine McConnell has a new YouTube show. So, of course, her Netflix show was canceled, but it's nice to see she's... Yeah, I know. It was a great show, but
I love that show.
At least she's coming back on YouTube, and her little kitty cat died.
Oh, no.
I don't know if you saw on Instagram. Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah, her little kitty cat died. Not the one from the show, obviously, because that one was already dead.
That was a puppet. Yeah, and it was also a puppet. Yeah, but So I have not got a chance to check it out, but I will because I think she's awesome, and she's got a good sense of humor and really makes really cool things. So I definitely will check this show out.
Saw, the new Saw reboot or remake or sequel or whatever it is, I don't know what it is, moved up to May 2020, so it's coming out next year.
My theory is because I think they know that they will not own October if they come out in 2020 because Halloween will be out. Halloween Kills, and Halloween obviously kills Saw and Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson. And plus, see, now it makes me more think that it's going to be like Saw, but like this like action movie starring Samuel L. Jackson now. I think that maybe it wants a summer release, But that's weird for a Saw. I mean, but then again, I think maybe they're just like, you know what? This is not your Saw. This is our reimagining of Saw. We're not doing it at Halloween like they all were. So,
but still, May is when you're going up against huge blockbusters. I just can't imagine why you would put it in May.
Yeah, I agree. It's a weird choice, but well,
yeah.
We'll see.
We got some new Comic-Con trailers, of course. It Chapter 2, which looks phenomenal, of course. And this one was really crazy. Doctor Strange sequel will be a Marvel Cinematic Universe gothic horror film.
Yeah, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And then, to me, one of the most exciting pieces of news to come out of Comic-Con this week was that we are getting a Blade reboot starring, and I'm going to screw his name up, and I love him as an actor. And I, don't know why
I could say it
pronounce
perfectly, so if you butcher it too much,
Or, no,
I'll jump in.
I'm going to just let you say it, because I will butcher it.
It's Mahershala Ali.
There you go. Okay, there you go, guys. Because I would have definitely done discredit to his name, but
Yeah,
I love him
one
as
of
an
my
actor.
favorite actors. I thought he was
Yeah.
amazing in Hidden Figures, and just he was great.
And what a perfect choice for Blade. I cannot wait.
Yes.
Wait. And I love.
If you're not
Blade.
getting Wesley Snipes back, I think yes, this is probably the best choice.
Right. Yeah.
He's got that good look, you know. Like I mean, you know, you could say like, you know, it's like he almost kind of looks similar to Wesley Snipes' build, you know. So it's like I think it'll be a good transition.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward
Blade
to
was
it.
not a big buff guy. He was kind of like normal sized, right? I mean, even in the
Well,
comics.
he didn't need to be because he was half vampire, so he's
right,
got
he's a vampire. Yeah,
he's
so
got superhuman strength without being ripped.
right. So which is kind of good, and that's not that I'm saying Mahershala Ali's not fit. I'm sure he's very fit.
Well, I mean,
I'm just
compared to
saying
me and Brian, he's very ripped.
Yeah,
Let's put it
yeah.
that way.
Most people, especially me. I mean, you at least run. I don't.
But I can't kill vampires like he can.
No, at least not yet.
Nosferatu gets a second season, which is great, but I haven't watched the first season yet.
I haven't
I've gotta
either, but I
get
think
on
it's
that.
coming. It's coming to Shudder though. Remember, so it's going to come to Shudder, so it'll be a lot easier for us to watch, and we'll be able to binge it.
Yeah, I can't wait because that novel was just amazing. It was
Good for Joe Hill.
Yeah.
He's having a good period. Think about it. It's because he contributed to Creepshow. He's got Nosferatu season 1 and 2. Yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff going on.
And you know the best thing about Joe Hill is he puts Stephen King Easter eggs inside of his books. So he kind of ties his novels into the world of Stephen King, which is incredible. So you kind of got like this father-son duo thing going on. It's so cool.
You know what would be really cool? If Halloween Horror Nights, and I've really done some Stephen King properties in the past, but how much would be like, they have the horrors of Blumhouse. How about a Stephen King universe?
Oh, that
including
would be so
Joe
cool.
Hill, but that's a house, where you just get all of his stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, you obviously you couldn't do everything, but you could do select It and The Shining, or
Of course you would not do everything, but yeah, you'd have like those
Pet
like some of
Cemetery,
these big ones. Yes, some of the big iconic, really frightening ones. Like I really don't think as much as the movie was frightening. I don't think Misery would make necessarily a good walk through house. I mean, so but yes, some of those like Shining, some Creepshow in there. I mean, that'd just be really a cool house.
Now, a Creepshow house would be cool if you could go through every story in Creepshow.
That's true. Actually,
That would be
Creepshow
cool.
itself should be a standalone. Of course, we'd have the water zombies sequence would be really cool. But you know what? I'm telling you, people just need to listen to this podcast that have connections to Universal because we've given them
Well, it will happen because
ton of
what we
ideas.
talk about on the podcast comes true, Brian. You know that.
That's true.
From
It
experience.
has been happening. Yes.
It's scarily accurate. Like, I'll talk about something and then Shockwaves will talk about it next week. And I'm like, are they ripping us off?
I mean, if they can, I don't mind because we respect them very much and they have a great podcast. But just throw us a bone every once in a while. Say, hey.
I think we're just ahead of the curve. I think we're on the cutting edge of horror.
I think so.
Yeah.
I agree.
So next up, some ghost adventures. Come at me, bro. Some ghost. I have to tell everybody about my dream I had.
Right.
So I had this crazy dream that I was in an airport and I ran into Zach Bagans. Is it Bagans or Baggins? I always want to say Baggins because of The Hobbit.
I know. So but I think it is Bagans.
I think it's Bagans.
But for us, we can call him Bagans.
And I feel like I make fun of Zach Bagans, which I love the show. That's why I'm saying it out of love.
Yes.
My poking fun is purely out of love.
It's your yogurt breakfast bowl take on Zach Bagans.
Bagans.
I did it wrong again.
So I dreamed I was in an airport and I ran into Zach Bagans and the Ghost Adventures crew. And he was disappointingly wimpy and skinny in real life. And I was very disappointed because I wanted the buff Zach Bagans, come at me, bro. And like I shook his hand, and he was like real limp-wristed, like he was very wimpy.
Excuse me, but get out of my face,
yeah,
please.
And he was like that, and I was like, oh my god, like this, like, and then I felt like my illusion was shattered. I don't know what that dream means, but I
don't know.
I figured I would throw it out
that
there.
his shows are going to be bad now.
No, and I hope not, because I think he's very entertaining. I think the Ghost Adventures are awesome. So a new miniseries coming out, Ghost Adventures Serial Killer Spirits. These are locations based on notorious serial killers such as John Wayne Gacy's prison cell. Which, yeah, I mean, okay. I like serial killers. I like true crime stuff. So,
well, yeah, that's just one of them. Yeah, they do. It's a bunch of other things they listed. One I didn't know what it was, but I that was the one that stood out to me. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a cool way to do it. I mean, I would assume by now they have been to these, but see, that's a weird one because, I mean, you know, they usually go to places that are deemed haunted. I've never heard of John Wayne Gacy's cell being haunted before. Yeah. So that's the only weird thing about this show that I'm thinking. Like, was it reported haunted somewhere? I don't know.
Brian, have you ever seen the original Ghost Adventures documentary? Like the very first one they ever did before they did the show.
No, does it talk about that place?
No, but it has some of the most convincing paranormal evidence I've ever seen on video.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to check that out.
Now, granted, I'm a skeptic, so I don't look at this stuff and go, well, they definitely captured ghosts on film. And especially, because the Ghost Adventures, I'm kind of like with our interview, which we'll get on later in the episode, or which I'll allude to now, but I fall more on the skeptical side of things, but I really enjoy these ghost hunting programs. But I will have to say, like that first documentary they did, and I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's the very first one they did. It's what put them on the map, basically. Has some very, very convincing video in it. Go check that one out. Yeah, so next up, Brian, I'll let you take it away because we have one last thing about the Ghost Adventure crew.
Yeah, so they're having a Halloween special this year. I think they've done Halloween specials before.
So most of those ghost hunter programs do, yeah.
Yeah, and then this year's is going to be they're going to investigate the real Conjuring house. So that's pretty cool, I think. See, that's something that you know is haunted. It's legendary that it's haunted. That may kind of like I'm looking forward to seeing the real one. Now, I'm kind of hoping it like I rather have it come out as like almost like a just let everything speak for itself because I think they don't need to do much to get this creepy because people know the history and they've seen the movies. So, I think if you just like have them go through the house, I don't think they need to do their usual come at me bro stuff, because I think this one just would be good if they just go through it and point out stuff, just look around.
I would still be entertaining. I mean, I used to watch the Ghost Hunters Halloween specials, and even if nothing happened, they were still superbly entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think, I think on this one, they don't have to do much, and it'll still be a good episode. It's funny that our last two first chop items were Ghost Hunter and Ghost Adventures related, because now we have our interview with the awesome Tony West, and we're going to discuss his new movie, which if you've not seen it yet, we don't really go into spoilers in the interview, so that's okay. But you'll probably get a lot more out of it if you go watch the movie first. So if you want to pause it, go watch the movie and come back. It's great. Detectives on Shudder.
Yeah, awesome movie, and Tony's awesome guy, was very gracious enough to come on and do a quick interview with us, and absolutely entertaining. So you guys check it out right now.
Okay, so as you know, we're huge fans of Shudder, and they were gracious enough not only to send us a screener for their new Shudder exclusive horror comedy, Detectives, but also help set up an interview with his very talented director, Tony West. So, Tony, thanks for coming on, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, Tony, so first of all, congratulations, because the movie seems to be doing really well on Shudder. I mean, the reviews are great. It seems like it did really well on the festival circuit. So congratulations on that. And I just want to start off by asking you a little bit about yourself. So what kind of films inspired you growing up? What made you want to become a filmmaker?
Oh, great question. I'm a huge horror fan, and it's actually the horror genre that got me into this. I would say, I had a very sort of standoffish relationship early on with the movie-going experience because my parents had no filter on the types of movies they took me to see way too early. So the very the two first times I went to a movie theater, within 15 minutes, they were literally carrying me out of the movie theater crying because I couldn't take it. I whatever that suspension of disbelief that people have that makes them buy into the reality of films, I have like a triple dose of it. And these weren't like the most terrifying movies. I was young, granted, I was like 4 or 5 years old, but the second movie was E.T. So that's not moving the planet, but I just remember so vividly the scene when Elliot's outside and he senses something in the shed and the ball comes out. That scene, it just was too much for me. And from that point on, just film had a power over me, especially the horror genre. But I was, like as you can kind of tell, very much a wimp. So it took me a while before I can delve into anything that was truly scary.
That's all. Yeah, Tim and I had the most experience. My mom actually used to take me because when my parents got divorced, my mom, she couldn't get a babysitter. She wanted to go out to a movie. She would go with me. So I remember seeing like one of the Draculas. I think Frank Langella's Dracula when I was a little kid, creeping me out. I saw one of the Jaws is in the theater. So it's like I was not hidden from that either, which is why I love it so much too. So I definitely can relate to you on that one.
Absolutely. And it just gave this extraordinary sense of power and just awe that I had for film. So I was hooked from the age of 5. Like I knew I wanted to do this from the time I was 5 or 6 years old, for sure.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So I guess we'll definitely want to get into Deadtectives because that's obviously your most current project, and it's really starting to get a lot of publicity and a lot of positive reviews. So where'd you get the idea? And I guess if also because I guess you must be a fan of those Ghost Hunter shows. So basically, what kind of idea did you get to do this type of film?
Totally, and it kind of stems from like my wimpiness as a kid. So the first sort of thing that I was able to sort of take, if you will, that was even remotely in the paranormal realm was Scooby-Doo. So I was always a huge fan of Scooby-Doo, and to me that was still terrifying growing up. But I loved every episode of that, and that just parlayed directly into this craze. I guess it was like the early 2000s when the paranormal investigating show, the ghost hunting shows, took over reality television, and I just was hook, line, and sinker. I ate them up, and I went into them, watching the original Ghost Hunters and then Ghost Adventurers later on. And I think that first inclination I had was, oh my God, every place in America is haunted. But once you watch like the 30th or 40th episode, you start to go, wait a second, if all these are true, I'm sure that last episode would have been the lead story on CNN or something if it was. And it was that. And then I used to work on a TV show called The Soup, which its whole focus was really reality television and sort of spoofing it and mocking it and things like that, and also paying homage to it. And one day we had the cast from Ghost Adventures on to do like a little comedy sketch on the show. And I got to see that entire group and the camaraderie and really got the sense that these guys absolutely believed in ghosts and really bought into it. But I behind the scenes, and I think we all know that there was a little bit of forgery going on with some of those shows, but I was just enamored with them. Not them specifically. They're amazing. I'm not trying to disparage them in the least bit, but I just was in awe of them, their camaraderie. And I think that was the genesis for the idea of really just telling the story of these paranormal investigators who become con artists because they've never encountered anything and have to basically con people into thinking their places are haunted to have a show, and that's where that came from.
Yeah, because it's not. I mean, obviously the most common one that everyone's gonna see when they watch this, they think of is ghost hunters. But also you would manage to capture some of the ones like my wife and I are huge fans of the Dead Files, and I really got that vibe in there where when the movie took, not to spoil it, but when the movie got a little more into the horror realm and there was a backstory to the house that they went to, it just, that whole sequence reminded me of that. So it's like you really managed to capture a lot of just reality TV and specifically a whole myriad of the ghost type shows.
I watched way too many episodes of all of them.
Yeah.
Good time there. Yes.
Yeah, you and me both, for sure. Yeah, so Tony, Brian and I are both huge fans of horror comedy, and we probably say it too much for our listeners, but we're always talking about how the best horror comedies have to have not only good comedy, but really good horror to balance out that comedy, because if you go too far in either direction, you kind of ruin that balance. And Deadtectives was nailed it, spot on, perfect horror comedy in my mind. So were you conscious of that the whole time? Were there any challenges trying to do a horror comedy versus like straight horror or straight comedy?
Really, thank you for the kind words, of course. And it's terrifying at first. I've always had an affinity for horror comedies, and in doing so, we've seen all the great ones. But, I've also seen the other ones as well. I just eat these up, and when they go off the rails, they go off the rails. And so I'm only a little petrified going into this. Can I do this? Is this going to work? And I think really early on, what sort of cemented it for me and cemented the concept for me was to really have this sort of delineation between the horror comedy and this, and that the house itself and the ghosts and all those elements they encounter that are real, we're going to play those straight. Those are in their own horror film. And I really want to create these eccentric personalities. And the comedy comes from them and how they're responding to this sort of real life and death situations they're facing. I think once we laid that groundwork where the ghosts themselves aren't cracking jokes, or we're not like mining comedy from the ghosts, I think it worked. I think we found our stride.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I mean, because the ghosts were downright creepy, and it's like, and it was like, you're right. It's like they were the straight man, where everyone else, had the comedy to it. But it really was a perfect balance. I mean, you could tell when you wanted it to get creepy, it got creepy, and when you wanted to lighten the mood was lightened. It was perfect.
Yeah, well, Tony, Brian knows that I'm a wimp when it comes to jump scares. So I'm a classic wimp on jump scares, and so this movie got me quite a few times. So if you guys are going into it thinking it's just all laughs, there's actually some really good scares in there too.
Great, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that a few of those worked. That's awesome.
So, and also about the production of it. So the movie itself was fantastic. The cast was incredible. I mean, I thought they all hit the marks they were supposed to hit on there. So it had to have been a blast to shoot. So do you have any like cool stories from the production you want to share? Like any funny stories, any cool moments?
Oh, absolutely. Just talking about the cast really quick. I was a huge fan of You're the Worst. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with that show at all, but it's Chris Gere's show, the Sam character on that. And asking me on what was the main thing that sort of helped the horror comedy and the balance. First and foremost is the cast itself. Just such a talented cast with Chris Gere and David Newman and Tina Ivlev and Mark Riley and Jose Maria de Tavira and Marta Higarita, who were just so seasoned at knowing how to just play everything so heightened and over the top at times, were like very true to who they are. So that first and foremost, without them, this movie stood no chance. So I really appreciate them. Something interesting that was really great is, we shot the film, and the entire film was shot in Mexico. So we shot in Mexico City for almost all the interiors that you see in the film, and all the exteriors were shot in this town called Villahermosa, which is down by the Guatemalan border. So that in and of itself presented many comical moments, at least at my expense, because while I went into the film thinking that I had at least a minor grasp of Spanish, what I learned really quickly is I have a minor grasp in the same way that a 2-year-old can speak English. And that works okay when you're ordering a sandwich or something like that, but when you're trying to talk about film, camera angles and all the special effects, it's useless. So I had a lot of fun with that, and a lot. So thankfully around day 3 or 4, we were like, we should get me a translator, and then from that point on, it was a lot better after that.
Nice. So Tony, we're both huge fans of Shudder, and I know our listeners think that Shudder must pay us monthly or something. But they don't. But we talk about them all the time. We really do love the service. So how'd you feel about your movie becoming a Shudder original? I mean, that had to have been a thrill to know that you got picked up by like the premier horror streaming network.
Dream come true. Like even after this weekend we just premiered, I'm still pinching myself every day that this happened. Huge Shudder fan before this. And so many times we make these indie films and they can get so lost in the shuffle and never see the light of day. I've had so many films that I've just had friends literally have copies, and if they didn't, I would have never known they existed. And just to land on a place like this where because we first set out to make this movie, not to sound too hokey, but the whole dream of making this was just to sort of capture the fun and the awe, and those kind of amazing feelings that I had when I was a kid going to movie theaters. We could just somehow, just a small semblance of that and transplant that to an audience would be amazing. And to have this platform that is literally delivering it straight to the actual audience we are making this film for, it's just a dream come true.
Yeah, and Shudder, I mean, they're really promoting this. I mean, it's splashed right on the front page when you first log in. I mean, they really, really hyped this movie, and deservedly so. So that was really cool to see, to see that it wasn't just kind of buried on the new releases. They've really marketed this thing, so that's really awesome.
Oh, I was gonna say, sorry, yeah, and we've of course promoted it too. From the second we found out about it, we knew we were gonna. It piqued our interest, and so we were promoting it. So we're so glad that it got all the press and accolades it deserves so far.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yes.
So I guess the next thing I'm going to ask a question, which you probably get now already now, because this is like any movie that's a big hit is going to want that. So, can you tell us anything about the future of Detectives? Any kind of sequel plans, etc., something like that?
Can't give away too much, but I have no problem saying this, that myself and the producers of this film are 100% dead set on continuing the story in this universe, without question.
Nice.
Yes.
we're definitely glad to hear that, because it's like one of those things when it was over and it, like, at the end I'm like, I kind of want more. I want to see where these guys go. Like, I want to watch a weekly show of them now.
Oh, I have no problem admitting this either. Which was sort of a beautiful thing. The very last shot that we actually did in production was actually the very last shot of the film. And so we're setting this up, and the shot goes off. And I remember our great DP, Andres Lascaras, turns to me after the shot, and he goes, "I see what you're doing here. This is a desperate plea for a sequel, isn't it?" I was like, I have no problem admitting that. I'm all in on that. Yes, sir.
That's awesome. That fits in the whole thing with this movie. It took a genre of a show. It poked fun at it, but it kind of gave it a realistic like a take on it at the same time. And it's exactly what got you into those shows in the first place. This infectious. It's just infectious to watch it. So, it's almost natural that now after you see this movie, like, I want more of it. I want more sequels. I want everything. So I'm kind of putting you to work. I want you to do I don't want you to finish that. I want a lot more.
That's just awesome to hear, and I would love nothing more.
So, Tony, not to put you on the spot, but where do you fall on the believing in ghost spectrum?
I am a skeptical believer. And not just because my wife and I, relatively really recently, won't make this too long of a story, but relatively recently had our sort of first paranormal experience, and it was after sort of the production of this film. So we're not sure if we just wanted to believe it or not, but we had this moment we were moving, and we had this book on our bookshelf that 3 nights in a row fell off the bookshelf onto the floor, and it was the book 100 Years of Solitude, which in and of itself is sort of a creepy story if you ever read that, to the point where I put that on the dining room table after 3 days because it was starting to get to us. We were like, just maybe it's the way the floor was slanted or something about the bookcase. We kept putting back the same box, put it on the table, and sure enough, about a week later, I come home from a job I was doing, and the book is lying on the floor. So at that point, we put it in the corner. We moved just a little time later, and we were leaving. We had everything out of the house except for that book, left it there. And we're like, that's it. That book stays behind, and never gave it another thought. 3 days later, I get a call from the owner of the building we were living in. And he goes, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that you left something behind, a book." I said, "The book is yours." And he goes, "That was my mom's favorite book." And I go, "Oh, that's really cool." And he goes, "Yeah." And come to find out in the conversation, she had just passed away before we moved in and lived in our place.
Oh my gosh.
That's I got chills listening to that story now.
I don't know what that means. That's the only foray I've had, but my eyes are certainly a lot more open after that experience. That's my answer.
I like that phrase, skeptical believer. I think that's kind of where I fall. I'm like Mulder. I want to believe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of have a problem kind of believing, but I want to believe.
Absolutely. Have either one of you had an experience in that vein? Anything like that?
No, I have not. I've had the closest thing I've had is when my grandmother died. I had a dream right after she died in which she appeared to me in the dream looking like she was 30 years old, but I recognized her. And she sat down with me and she said, "You're not going to see me for a very long time. Do you understand?" And I said, "Yes." And she gave me a big hug, and that was the end of the dream. And it was really weird. I had this very strange, complete sense of peace during her funeral the next day. So that's the only kind of weird thing that's ever happened with me in the paranormal side.
Man, it's
wow.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Man, what a moment. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if I had any per se. I'm trying to think back. But I would definitely put myself a skeptical believer as well. I like that term. If that's not a true term, I think we need to coin it right here. But yeah, no, but I definitely some of because I kind of want to see something at someone, and my wife is the exact opposite. Because she's had some experiences she's told me about, and so and I'm like, oh, that, because I was convinced where we stayed at my grandparents' house, it was haunted because just there was my wife had told me a story where she kind of saw something almost like a shadow that she felt, and she kind of ducked. It was down in the basement, which was just creepy on its own reason. Because I used to freak Tim out because we have these things called cave crickets. So those are creepy enough that they exist down in that basement. But let alone, so and I was like, wow, I want to see, and I was convinced, but she said, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know. It's not that. So, but yeah, I definitely put myself in that skeptical believer category as well.
Absolutely. And why have I never heard of cave crickets? This sounds like it should be like an amazing thing. Like the cave crickets. I love this.
We don't have those down south, so I don't. He's shown me pictures of them, and they sound horrifying.
Wow. Yeah.
Hey,
if you want to look up cave crickets or camel crickets, and that's what they are basically.
I'm on that.
Yeah. I look at that. We may have just given him his idea for his next movie here.
Oh, yeah.
Live on the
Giant Cave Crickets, the movie. Tony, is there anything else you want to promote? Do you have any upcoming projects that you can tell us about?
Right now, I would just love anybody who loves horror comedy to go right over to Shudder and just check out Dead Detectives. We promise you a lot of fun watching it. We'd love it if you did.
And we second and third that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as Brian said in his review, we did a little mini review last week. I watched it a couple of days ago. Absolutely loved it. And yeah, you guys definitely need to check it out. And most of our listeners are probably on Shudder because we beat it into them every day to subscribe to Shudder. So hopefully most of them already have it.
Well, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, thanks, Tony, for coming on. It was a real treat. Again, we totally enjoyed the movie. Wish you all the success in the world. I'm really glad it's doing so well. And we look forward to hearing from you again on future projects and hopefully a sequel down the road.
Sounds terrific. You guys are a blast. Thank you.
Yeah,
right.
And anytime you got something coming on, you want to help us, help us promote it for you, just say the word, and then we'll fit you on.
I will take you up on that, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Tony.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Hey.
All right, yeah, that was a great interview. Brian had a lot of fun talking to Tony about Dead Detectives. And, man, it's so great to interview somebody when you absolutely love the film that they did.
Yeah, it was. We haven't really ever encountered what we haven't yet, but because I was hoping oh my God, thank God we're gonna talk, because I talked about it from the when I first saw it, how much I loved it, and then when Shudder contacted us and said, hey, do you want to have Tony come on? I was like, absolutely. I'm like, we love this movie. We'd love to talk to the director of it.
Yeah. All right, so guys, let's get on with the program and talk about our Blu-ray releases for July 30th. Got a pretty big week this week with a lot of good Shout Factory releases. This is our Discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God. No, don't cut off
All right, first up, just a quick steelbook to let you know about. Humanoids from the Deep, 1980. Shout Factory's putting out a steelbook edition of this one. I didn't go through the full rundown because it's just a steelbook edition. Got some pretty cool artwork on it, though, if you're into that sort of thing. First one up is Quatermass and the Pit from 1967. Brian, are you familiar with the Quatermass movies? Because I have not watched any of these.
So I thought I was, and then I realized that was Alan Quatermain in The City of Gold I was familiar with. So I do not know what Quatermass is.
Yeah, I had to look up the...
And this shows how much I'm thinking it's Quatermass. Yeah. So yeah, I'm way off.
Yeah, so I don't know, these movies look intriguing. I guess they were based off some short stories or some kind of stories, science fiction stories, but they're also horror related too. But the first one up is Quatermass and the Pit from 1967. It's actually a Hammer film. Released by Shout Factory, directed by Roy Ward Baker, starring James Donald, Andrew Keir, and Barbara Shelley. A mysterious artifact is unearthed in London, and famous scientist Bernard Quatermass is called in to divine its origins and explain its strange effects on people. And man, this disc is packed full. You got a new audio commentary with film historian Bruce G. Hallenbeck. New audio commentary with filmmaker Konstantin Nazer and author film historian Steve Haberman. So
we just did something with Konstantin Nazer too last week. He's all over the place.
He's all over the place. I mean, these film historians must just sit around and do DVD audio commentaries all day long because there's so many of these guys that I see over and over and over again. I think we've seen old Steve Haberman before.
Well, what else are they going to do, the film historians? They've probably written all their books already. They can't talk about new stuff.
That's true. We got a new interview with actor Hugh Futcher, which is a great name. New interview with Academy Award-winning special effects artist Brian Johnson, who did Alien.
Oh.
New interview with clapper loader Trevor Coop. I don't know what a
Right,
clapper loader
now
is.
they're stretching. Okay, that's...
What is a
what's
clapper
next?
loader?
Like, the craft service punch pourer is next? I don't...
What is a clapper loader?
Well, the clapper is literally that thing where they go like, all right, take one.
Is this the guy that puts the lettering on the clapper?
I think it might be. And now, if we're wrong out there, I apologize, and I don't mean to make light of this, but if that's what it is, I really don't know what. And I feel bad saying this, but what kind of interview must that be?
But wait. If you're not satisfied with the clapper loader, you get a new interview with focus puller Bob Jordan. He pulls the focus, Brian.
Wow, this. What? Yeah, this is like when you say packed. They literally like we need everybody who's ever worked on this film or heard of it. We need you on this disc.
I like how I'm making fun of people's livelihoods. I like making fun of the job that feeds their family. And I'm sitting here.
I know they're sitting there. We're working on Academy Award films, and we're making fun of their tasks.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know what? And he's like, yeah, and I'm actually working on a film set. So what are you doing? Sitting behind a microphone doing a podcast about other people that actually work on film sets? Yeah.
I know. You're not even a podcast historian. You're a current podcaster, so you don't even...
Interview with author Judith Kerr. Okay, Kerr. So there's a big controversy in Wilmington. There's a street called Kerr Avenue. Kerr. We pronounce it Carr. I've lived here all of my life. I've always pronounced it Carr. But some people pronounce it Kerr. And there's two families that are related to the original guy that this street is named after. And half the family says it's Carr and half the family says it's Kerr.
Well, I know I don't know these people, but they suck because they should be the ones settling this debate. And
it's like the Hatfields and the McCoys. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've lived here 44 years. I say it's Carr.
Well, I think isn't there an actress that spells her name that way, and they always pronounce it Carr. So yeah. I've always pronounced. I've seen that Carr. I want to say Kerr, but I don't think it is. I think it's Carr. But then again, like that just shows how stupid English language is sometimes when things are spelled like that and you say it a different way.
Interview with actor Julian Glover. Interview with actor-writer Mark Gatiss. Interview with filmmaker Joe Dante. Okay, at least
is Julian Glover even in this? What the?
I guess probably or he. I don't know what.
Yeah,
who knows?
I was just about to tell you.
I'm so confused.
Who Julian Glover was, and then you basically he's very well known. He was in.
Probably evidently not to me.
No,
I don't even know if he's a man.
Lost Crusade. He was Empire Strikes Back. He played General Veers.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Shows what a Star Wars nerd I am.
Yeah, and he's still alive. He's born in 1935, and the guy's still alive and kicking. So,
interview with author, film historian Kim Newman. Now, Kim Newman wrote the Anno Dracula series, and I didn't know Kim Newman was a film historian.
Didn't either. But why are there people that had nothing to do with this film on this disc?
That's what I'm saying. I need to watch this movie because evidently everybody else knows about it but me.
Yeah,
it must be very popular.
Yeah, and everyone's took place in this. We gotta figure this out now.
Interview with author, Hammer film historian Marcus Hearn. Now that's a guy with a cool job. Hammer film historian.
And just so you know, as another bonus, Julian Glover actually reprised his role as General Veers in Lego Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back.
Wow,
that's how good he was. They brought him back for the Lego version.
Audio commentary with director Roy Ward Baker and writer Nigel Neal. For those playing along at home, we're still on the special features for Quatermass and the Pit.
Yeah, if you want to take a break, we understand.
World of Hammer, sci-fi. Theatrical trailers, TV spots, alternate U.S. credits, and a still gallery. I want this disc just because evidently they've put a lot of features on this disc for some reason. It must be a badass movie.
Yeah, I will say, though, that's not going to help you finishing your backlog project if you get that before it ends.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's like...
And by the way, he was in... Julian Glover actually is in Quatermass in the Pit. He plays Colonel... See, another word I used to pronounce colonel when it's colonel. Why is that colonel?
Colonel Sanders. Yeah.
Yes, but he's Colonel Breen in this, so he does play in this movie. So at least this
again brings up one of my favorite lines in Spaceballs, which is, "What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken?"
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I know. I like that one.
All right, The Intruder from 2019, Sony Pictures. Directed by Deon Taylor, starring Megan Good, Dennis Quaid, and Michael Ealy. I remember this came out of the theater, like, briefly.
Yeah, what happened to it, though? It's already here?
A young married couple buys a beautiful house on several acres of land, only to find out that the man they bought it from refuses to let go of the property. So this one has a few special features: making a modern thriller featurette. Discover how the cast and crew brought Charlie Peck and the world of Foxglove to life, with looks into the scripting process, cast, location, scouting, and more. That's a long description for a featurette.
Yeah.
An alternate ending, 6 deleted scenes, a gag reel. Being a homeowner is no laughing matter, but check out the cast of The Intruder having more than a few laughs during the making of the film.
I love how you actually read the gag reel for the first time, like, ever.
Feature commentary with director Deon Taylor, writer David Lowery, producer Roxanne Avent, and Megan Good and Michael Ealy.
Oh, no. Look what's next.
Oh, yeah. So, I'll meant to put these in the same order, but I think it's better that we split them up after that. The first one.
Because I think too much Quatermass for anybody.
But it's Quatermass. It's not Quartermass.
Quatermass. Why do I see? I
actually looked up the pronunciation because I knew I would butcher that, like you just did. So I actually looked up the pronunciation beforehand. Quatermass 2 from 1957. So apparently this was a serial, like a serialized movie. From 1957, they put it all into one film. And
if it was cereal, was it Quaker Oats? Come on, you knew I was going there. Okay.
But what's weird is you would think Quatermass 2 is a follow-up to Quatermass in the Pit, but it's not. Quatermass 2 is a 1957 movie, which is a decade before Quatermass in the Pit.
Yeah, I don't even think they're connected. I think Quatermass is, from what I'm looking, because there's a bunch of these. There was a TV show, a miniseries.
Yeah, like they're all over the place.
79, they're just all over the place. I think it's like a Hercules Poirot kind of a thing, right? I guess, and
it's weird that the Shout Factory just put out these 2 discs. I don't know what's going on here, but directed by Val Guest, starring Braun. Hey, Braun. Brian is what I was trying to say.
Brian. It's like that guy. It's like Pooh Man. Remember?
Yeah, from now on, I'm going to call you Braun. Brian Donlevy, John Longden, and Sidney James. Professor Quatermass, trying to gather support for his lunar colonization project. Who is this guy? He sounds awesome.
I know.
Is intrigued by mysterious traces that have been showing up. Brand new 2K remaster struck from a pristine archival film print. New audio commentary with filmmaker, film historian Ted Newsom. New audio commentary with author, film historian Steve Haberman, and filmmaker, film historian Konstantin Nazer. There he is in his film historian role. He's back. New interview with Academy Award-winning special effects artist Brian Johnson. He did Alien, Brian. New interview with assistant director Hugh Harlow. Yeah. Vintage interview with director Val Guest. Audio commentary with director Val Guest and writer Nigel Neal. World of Hammer Sci-Fi. U.S. theatrical trailer Enemy of Space. There's a different trailer for a different movie on this disc for some reason. And
you know what's weird, though? Actually, there's a Quatermass 2 that's also a TV miniseries that was 1955 before this Quatermass 2. What the heck?
I just am totally intrigued by this series now. Like, I want to know what Quatermass... I want everything Quatermass, like, in my lap. I want to know what is going on with this whole thing.
Yes, maybe it's called the Quatermass effect. Video game nerds, come on, you got that.
Yeah, you have to be a video game nerd to get that one.
Yeah.
So let's move right on to something a little more our speed, Brian. Lust for a Vampire.
Yes.
From 1971, Shout Factory release. Shout Factory's killing it this week. Directed by Jimmy Sangster, starring Barbara Jefford, Ralph Bates, and Susanna Lee. In 1830... Okay, get ready. Sit back for this one, guys. In 1830, 40 years to the day since the last manifestation of their dreaded vampirism, the Karnstein heirs,
their hairs stood up on their neck,
used the blood of an innocent to bring forth the evil that is the beautiful Mircalla, or as she was in 1710, Carmilla. The nearby finishing school offers rich pickings, not only in the blood of nubile young ladies, but also with the headmaster who is desperate to become Mircalla's disciple, and the equally besotted and even more foolish author Richard Lestrange.
I love how you went through different dialects through that.
I don't know why I read that in a Western, semi-Western. Yeah,
you went Western midway through. It was funny. It was like that name,
it was like that in 1830 thing.
You like went off.
I felt like it needed to be recorded that way. This has a brand new 4K remaster of the film Struck from the original camera negative. I love how they struck it.
Yeah, they struck
Like
it. They didn't just take it.
Like the
they
remaster.
Didn't pluck it.
Like
they struck
it's
it.
forged with Thor's hammer and the mighty forges.
Yeah, on what's that place? Like Nowhere? Is that where they?
Yeah. Presented in 2 aspect ratios, 166:1 and 185:1.
And the best part, it's done simultaneously. No, not really.
And they take the average. Divided by 2.
The average between the two. It's 177 to 1.
There are some like film ratio nerds out there. I have talked to them.
That are probably mocking us right now.
Yeah, they're really. Actually, 166:1 was actually used in blah 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 blah. New audio commentary by author, film historian Bruce Hallenbeck. Man, this is a record week for film historian commentary.
It really is. They're coming out of the woodwork.
New interview with actress Mel Churcher. Audio commentary by director Jimmy Sangster. Stars Susanna Lee and Hammer Films historian Marcus Hearn. Oh, good old Marcus Hearn.
Yeah.
Coolest job in the world. Theatrical trailer, radio spots, and still galleries.
Yes.
Oh man, this next one I really want. This is The Reptile from 1966. Another Shout Factory release directed by John Gilling, starring Noel Willman, Jennifer Daniel, and Ray Barrett. In a Cornish village, various locals die from mysterious snake bites, but the coroner rules the deaths as heart attacks until a family of newcomers starts an investigation. So, Brian, I don't know if you've ever seen the reptile creature itself, but I had a book when I was little, a horror movie book that had still pictures from all kinds of old Hammer films, and not just Hammer films, but old 1960s and 70s horror films. And it had this picture of the reptile in this movie, and it freaked me out and scared me to death. And that's why I want this movie so bad, because that one image used to scare the crap out of me. And it looks silly.
Is it like just a regular snake?
No, it's like a snake woman looking thing.
Oh.
It's really, really creepy.
I gotta see this now.
Yeah, go look up the cover of the Blu-ray and you'll see the picture of it.
I will do that as we speak.
It's really...
While you read the next one.
It's really freaky, yeah. So I definitely want that. No special features listed on that one, but...
Oh my god, you're right.
Isn't that kind of creepy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it scared the crap out of me when I was little in that book. I've still got the book on the shelf. I've been looking at it right now.
Yeah, did you see what the title says on it, too? It says, The dreaded curse of the Aurang Sancto turned her into a slithering snake. The reptile.
Yeah, it's like a snake woman.
Yeah.
It's really cool. The next one up is Hellmaster from 1992, released by our good friends at Vinegar Syndrome, directed by Douglas Schultz, starring John Saxon, David Imge, E-M-G-E, pronounce it as you will, and Amy Rash.
I know, I was going to say, you got to spell it, you got to drag that.
She's got a lot of A's in her name.
A couple extra A's
Amy
in there.
Rash. A psychotic college professor uses unwitting students as laboratory rats, injecting them with a drug that mutates them into gory killers. This is only special feature here is a 4K remaster, but it is uncut. Apparently this film was definitely very heavily cut in previous incarnations, so this is your chance to get it in an uncut version. The next one up, man, I'm so looking forward to. I'm definitely buying this. This is my pick of the week because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, 1962, released by Warner Brothers, directed by Robert Aldrich, starring Bette Davis, Joan Crawford, and Victor Buono. A former child star torments her paraplegic sister in their decaying Hollywood mansion. I don't know what special features are on this. I couldn't find any listed, but I'm sure it's probably at least got the features from the previous Blu-ray edition. And this one's very inexpensive. I don't really know what this reissue adds because there was a previous 50th anniversary edition that I think was pretty full featured. So I don't know why it's being re-released this week, but I'm still going to grab it because I don't own this on Blu-ray. I do own it on DVD. It's definitely one of my favorite movies of all time and one that I really want to cover on the podcast at some point.
Oh, we might have to. And so I just want a little trivia here. I don't know if you noticed, but in your synopsis, there's a thing in here. There's something with some of the words that are in common. The child, paraplegic, sister, inn, there, and mansion, because they all feature Bette Davis eyes. I'll see myself out. Okay.
Wow. How long did you take to work on that, Brian?
While you were reading the whole first part and speaking. And I'll tell you how I got that joke, though, too, is because the whole thing from... Do you remember that movie, Midnight Madness?
I don't think I've ever seen Midnight Madness.
What? Oh my God! You're all right. I've like movies. You have to. That's the one with Michael J. Fox. He was younger, and it was where they have to go around L.A. like on a scavenger hunt with all the teams. You never saw that? It used to be on HBO all the time. But anyway, there was a clue in the beginning where Eddie Deason, who played every nerd in the 80s pretty much, except the ones that Robert Carradine played. Anyway, so he was like he had the first clue, and the first clue was like SS Itari was mixed up and blind, and it was like these like the coordinates, and the clue was that they had to find the SS Itari is mixed up and blind, so they scrambled, and they're like, and this other team of all girls were like, what does blind mean? And they're like, take the eyes out. So they took the letter I's out, and it basically led them to the observatory in Griffith Park. And so that was the telescope settings with the numbers. So basically, anytime I the whole take the eyes out, that joke was formed. So yeah, that joke was actually formed really many years ago that I kind of stole and blended into this in a really long circuitous route that probably has had half the listeners turn off by now. But anyway, but that's a movie you need to see, Tim. Midnight Madness. You will love it. It will be like up in your talk about quotes. Like it'll be up there. The lines from that movie and the cast in that movie. You will see like some legendary people in that movie. You gotta see that movie.
I got interrupted with hot coffee. Okay, sorry.
Now, hopefully in a cup, but not.
It was in a cup, not in my lap. Okay. So my wife is a deer. Did I ever mention that? She is a deer. Not a literal deer, but a DEAR. Because she does occasionally bring me hot coffee.
Well, you can rent. By the way, just to tell you can rent Midnight Madness. I mean, I own it, actually. And it's a big Cone all-time favorite, by the way. It's you can rent it on Prime, too, right now. But it has, David Naughton is the main star of it. So right there's where you want to tie the horror in. Michael J. Fox, Stephen Furst, Andy Tennant, Maggie Roswell, Eddie Deason. It's even got a cameo by Paul Rubens, Irene Tedrow. It's like a huge... And actually... there's another horror connection. Kristen Baker is in this. She plays one of the little roller skating girls in it that was also the girl that went skinny dipping in Friday the 13th Part 2. So.
Good gracious.
Yes.
Wow.
And Marvin Kaplan, who played Henry on Alice, is in it. So, yeah, there's a lot of people. And there are a lot of classic lines in this movie that you'll be repeating. And, yeah.
I don't know. I don't
see that.
know how I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah, it is. Tim, I'm telling you, you will never stop laughing through it. I almost want to I think I'm going to send you an Amazon credit just so you could rent it.
All right.
Or if you don't see it by then, I'm going to bring my copy to see it because it is a legendary movie. I literally must have watched this thing easily a few thousand times by now.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm not joking. I am not exaggerating.
Wow.
My friend Mark and I used to overwatch it. It was from 80s and it was actually a Disney movie. Disney had the rights to it or something. And the funniest thing is the tagline was the most fun you'll ever have, ... in the dark.
I have never, I feel like you're making this up. I've never heard of this movie.
Won't. I will read you the quick synopsis. We're a little off topic here, but it says, Leon planned the great all-nighter by picking college students to participate in an all-night-long scavenger hunt. The 5 teams are given clues to solve, leading them to the next clue, hidden throughout the city. Making this film debut, Michael J. Fox as Scott, the younger brother.
Oh my gosh. Really? It's his first movie?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm telling you, you need to see this movie.
And he plays Scott?
Yes, he plays Scott.
David Norton. So in Back to the Future, when Doc says, "Great Scott," he's talking about
exactly. See, there's a connection, the shared universe.
Nice. Okay. All right. So our final release is Play Dead from 1983, and Brian, you get to guess this one. This is a Vinegar Syndrome release. I'll give you the cast list first. It's directed by Peter Whitman, starring Yvonne DiCarlo, Stephanie Dunham, and David Cullinane. What is Play Dead from 1983?
Okay, I kind of have 2 ideas on this one, but I want to say that, see, the time period this came out, they kind of did a lot of these movies, so I want to say it was some group of people, and it was kind of like they kept playing almost like pranks on each other where they'd pretend to be killed. but then someone is really offing them off, and they're all like trapped in a house over the weekend. Similar to April Fool's Day, but I think around that time period, a lot of movies stole that kind of plot. So I'm going to go with that.
Okay, well, your movie would probably make more sense with this title.
So
I will read the official
way off.
synopsis. A woman uses her magic powers and a vicious Rottweiler dog to murder her relatives.
All right, well, I get the play dead. Okay, I actually get that.
Because it has a
title
dog
for that
in it.
description.
Okay,
yeah, play dead. Okay, all right. Give it to. But I know there's been like so many versions of that fake out. I mean, we did, what was it? Return to Horror High, right? That one had it. April Fool's Day.
That was a good guess. I mean, I liked your premise.
Yeah, and I looked at the year. See, I'm starting to get like scientific with these now.
It's not helping.
And I figured Yvonne Carlo was like Yvonne DiCarlo, because she's the older stateswoman, and I guess in this movie she was probably was going to be like the owner of the house or something. But yeah.
Oh well, we don't have any horror theatrical releases this week, but there is a big release that I'm going to go see. Brian, do you know what it is?
It's
not horror, but it's a big release.
What the heck is coming out this week? I actually don't know. Or do I know? And I'm just going to kick myself.
You know, and you're going to kick yourself. The latest Quentin Tarantino movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. For some reason, I thought that was August.
Nope, it's this week. So I am very much looking forward to that. I will go see any Tarantino movie in the theater opening weekend if I can get it.
Nice.
So that's a big one. And it's got a little bit of horror adjacency because it has some Manson murder tie-in. So
right, yeah. And didn't David, our listener, he wrote in and told us about right that he filmed it in the actual locations, a lot of places or something, right?
Yeah,
he said?
yeah. It's gonna be really cool. All right, so let's get to our main feature, which I'm really looking forward to talking about. This is, of course, Phantasm from 1979, directed by Don Coscarelli, starring A. Michael Baldwin as Mike, Bill Thornberry as Jody, Reggie Bannister as Reggie, Kathy Lester as the Lady in Lavender, Terry Calbus as the fortune teller's granddaughter, Kenneth V. Jones as the caretaker, Susan Harper as the girlfriend, Lynn Eastman Rossi as Sally, David Ampson as Toby, Ralph Richmond as the bartender. Man, Brian listed everybody.
I did because of where it's all Angus Scrimm's fault because where he fell in this cast list. That's why I gave you everything.
Bill Cohn as Tommy, Laura Mann as Double Lavender, Mary Ellen Shaw as the fortune teller, Myrtle Scotton as the maid, and of course, last but certainly not least, Angus Scrimm as the tall man. A teenage boy and his friends face off against a mysterious grave robber known only as the Tall Man, who keeps a lethal arsenal of terrible weapons with him. So, Brian, I have to say...
I'm cracking up because in the middle of it, you said Brian really listed everybody here.
I thought we were going to have the craft services guy and
the Slate guy. Is
the clapper loader.
Clapper loader.
Clapper loader and focus puller.
Yes, sorry, I couldn't resist. Well, no, but actually, in all honesty, this movie's got so many. It does have so many characters. They're all in it for like split seconds, but they all have a piece. So I figured I had to include a lot of them.
Well, let me tell you about a little story about this movie. So, way back in the 80s, when HBO was a thing, I happened to catch some scenes of this on HBO, and it was scenes with the ball flying through the hallway. And it freaked me out. And I don't know if it was Phantasm or one of the sequels. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I would have to think it has to be the original, because or maybe Phantasm 2. But it really, really scared me. And for years, I thought I had maybe dreamed this whole thing about these flying metal balls, because I couldn't figure out which movie this came from. It wasn't really until years later that I learned that this was an actual movie with actual flying metal spheres. And I got to watch it. And I will have to say, Brian, I was telling you this before we recorded. When I first watched Phantasm, many, many years later after it had released, I was a little disappointed. I didn't really know what to think of it. I didn't really like it, to be honest. And it really wasn't until I watched the sequels and really grew to love these characters and then went back and watched the original that I really, really fell in love with the original. I think it's one of those movies that it's so out there, and there's so much to take in the first time you see it, that I don't know that you could necessarily appreciate at the first viewing. It really took me 2 or 3 viewings to really, really fall in love with this movie.
Yeah, I don't it's funny because I remember watching it back a while ago, but when I watched it I didn't really remember much other than the a couple of images. But then again, I don't even remember if maybe I've been remembering it from just like pictures I saw, because I obviously remembered the Angus Scrimm as a tall man. I remember the ball. I thought though I had a memory of the ball being more in it than it was, but maybe I saw one of the later ones too thrown in there. But like I said, I hadn't revisited the series since I originally saw it, and not because any other reason other than I just never, I guess I didn't really have access to it on because I didn't ever had it on DVD, and then the great set came out, so I had it, and it's been sitting on the shelf until now when we decided to watch it. So I almost want to say it was almost like I came into it as new, because I remembered that little about it other than the iconic imagery, and I actually really liked that. I actually watched the first one twice because I had told Tim I missed a line in there, and I don't know if I was just because I was tired. I may have just because sometimes you'll miss like a look, and it's really one line they say, it was the part where they Michael says, well, actually that's his real name. I guess he goes Mike in the movie.
Yeah.
But, Mike says about when he figures out why they're all coming back as like the dwarves, because it's like they're on the gravity or the planet like crunches them a little. So I was like, oh, that's why. And I completely missed it the first time I saw it. So when I rewatched it again, I totally caught that line. I was like, oh, okay, that's why. Because they seem to know like after that, and I just must have missed it. But yeah, no, I really like it's really got a really trippy vibe to it, and it's like it's definitely it almost is like, I know it's 79, so it's right by there, but it almost feels like more of like almost an early 80s kind of film. I mean, it's just I don't know if that was because it was just a little bit of ahead of its time, but I really actually kind of like the just the whole, it was very like odd, it's an odd film, the first one.
Yeah.
But yet, and as you grow to the franchise, which we'll get to later, Tim and I were actually talking about this earlier, you tend to appreciate the earlier ones more, which is kind of why I like that. After I watched the second one, I went back to watch the first one, and I actually I enjoyed the first one even more.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know the whole premise, and again, I guess if you want to put a spoiler alert on a 1979 movie, here you go. Yeah. But there's so many aspects of this movie that are just so out there, because you've got the Tall Man, which is a villain, which is actually an interdimensional alien. You have the resurrection of the dead to work as dwarf slaves on another planet. You've got just some of the oddball side things, like the fortune-telling grandmother has some sort of like telepathy effects. You've got...
Yeah, why was that in there? What was that all about? I mean, we'll have to... And the girl was hilarious. She's like, grandmother says that, and grandmother says this, and it's very weird.
I like when he goes, tell her so-and-so, and she goes, she can hear you.
Oh, yeah, she can hear you. Yeah. Just, and then, like, when she takes the money, it just disappears. I like that, too. When she just took the money.
And I only mentioned the fortune-telling grandmother because it's just a small little slice of the movie, but it's just these little weird things off to the side. Like, he has to put his hand in this box, and, like, the box traps his hand with the fortune-teller grandmother. I mean, it's just a weird one-off that really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the movie. I mean, there is a reason for the...
There's a callback.
There's a callback at the end.
Yeah.
But it's all these weird little... almost nightmarish little vignettes that Don Coscarelli puts in that are just so odd. I mean, it doesn't follow the formula of any movie you've seen from that era. In terms, it's not a slasher.
No,
it's got elements of sci-fi, but it's not really sci-fi. It's way more horror. But the thing I love about Phantasm, and it runs through the whole series, and it's really the heart of the series, is the characters. Because the character of Mike, you really grow to love him and care for him as a person. Reggie is one of the best horror movie characters of all time, in my opinion. He's just awesome. Reggie is he's the friend of Jody, And what you find out early in the movie is Jody, Reggie, and this other guy that passed were kind of a trio of friends that hung around, and you could tell Mike.
Were they a band, or or they just jammed together? I guess because that's how I implied it, that they were like, because Jody and Reggie were always playing guitar.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were just good friends. Like that was the trio. I don't know if maybe it was the band element that brought them together or whatever, and you could kind of tell Mike was like the younger brother, kind of looking up to this trio of older friends, and then you.
Well, I guess he had no parents at that point.
Yeah, he had no parents. His mom and dad died. So you have this weird family dynamic there that's also going on where you don't have adults, quote unquote, adults in the picture. I mean, obviously Reggie and Jody are adults by this point, but they're young adults. And so you have this dynamic of Mike looking up to these older brother figures, and they end up caring for him like a son, or at least as a little brother. Reggie almost cares for him as a son. And so you have these really, really close relationships that you don't normally see in a horror movie. I mean, usually you don't even have time to form those relationships in a horror movie. And it was so cool and interesting to see this dynamic going on. And Brian, the one thing Phantasm reminds me of in modern times is the TV series Supernatural.
Yes, I was going to say, I got a big, you know where I got a Supernatural vibe, obviously, especially as it moves towards the second one. But yeah, I got kind of got an ending of Salem's Lot vibe. You know how, like, remember when there was like the older, David Soul character and the Lance Kerwin, where they were kind of like, they both like kind of finally came to this realization that like they are tasked to stop these things. And I got that in me, especially towards the second one, which we'll get to later, or next week if you're listening. So. There's definitely a vibe of a lot of other things. There's even some like certain things with the musical cue was what kind of really made it kind of 80s for me. Like there was even like a little bit of like the kind of like I know this sounds odd to say, but like there was a couple of things that kind of reminded me of the original Nightmare on Elm Street with the way the music went and like some jarring sequences with the music, and there was a little bit of that even in there. But that's what I guess to prove Tim's point of where there's just a lot of like, for lack of a better word, mishmash of stuff that you put together. But I think at the basis of it, there's such great characters that you go with it. And you get so enthralled, you don't realize that, there's not been a really straight, coherent plot yet, and then all of a sudden you're halfway through the movie, but then you don't care, and then you just get so engrossed in it that and then when the plot eventually fills itself out and you go and what's kind of going on, you're already in it. You're invested in it with almost like it's like subconsciously got invested in it. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Nightmare on Elm Street angle because there is a lot of that too. Because there's a lot of dream imagery in this one. Like I said, a lot of the stuff is just kind of nightmarish. It doesn't seem quite of this world, even though it is in the movie. If you look at some of the scenes inside of the mausoleum and stuff, it almost seems like otherworldly. And you've also got the aspect of the movie in which sometimes the characters themselves don't know what's real and what's not.
Right. And if you think about some sequences, if you put Freddy Krueger in place of the tall man, it doesn't look out of place.
Right. Yeah. He does have a lot of Freddy tendencies in terms of being able to appear suddenly and do weird things and kind of illusion type effects. So you have a lot of that. I could see it definitely where you could get some influence from that. I feel like Phantasm was far more influential than people might first think because it's not considered as mainstream as your Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween. I don't feel like it ever reached that level because if it had reached that level, I would have already watched all of them. Yeah. I think it is very highly regarded among the horror fan set. I think we talked about that last week when we were previewing this episode. I think anybody that's a real horror fan absolutely adores this series, but I don't think it ever got that kind of mainstream level because maybe the villain itself, the tall man, is not really the centerpiece of this movie. He is in a way, but he's not like on screen a whole lot to the level of a Freddy or a Jason.
Right, he's not like the main. He's not. Well, I guess he is the main villain, but he's not as. It's weird because he's got like these little like assistants, and he plus he can sort of shapeshift. I guess, for lack of a better term, right? I don't know if it's a true shapeshift or just a.
Yeah, he's like he doesn't fit the typical villain archetype role because he's just so I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, he's an interdimensional alien, and he dresses as a funeral undertaker, and he basically walks around going "boy." So I don't know where to place him.
And he runs sometimes, and sometimes he'll just warp and be there, and then it's like it's weird, and and I tell you that is creepy. That was creepy when he's like, he's chasing Mike, and he's like running, and he's so close to him, and he's this lanky, awkward running guy, and it's just like his whole movements are very blocky, and I think whatever I don't know if that was Coscarelli telling Angus Scrimm to walk that way and do those things, or he just decided to walk that way on his own. But his movements are very rigid. Like he appears taller than he actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's known as the tall man, but he's probably normal height. I mean, he's tallish, but I think he fits well because he presents himself even taller, like because he's awkward and stands very upright.
Yeah.
And I think the suit he wears is like, and the thin tie and the whole thing. It's like,
yeah, it's a very
disrupting.
It's a very atmospheric film. It's very, like I said, I keep wanting to say nightmarish, and it really is. I think Don Coscarelli even says he got the idea for this movie in a nightmare. So you see a lot of that imagery put up on the screen.
Yeah, I could see that.
And it's one of those movies that kind of gets in your head once after you watched it, because these scenes keep coming back to you. Now, as the franchise goes on, as we will see, and I have not watched 5 yet as of this recording. I actually saved it for the summer staycation just so I'd have one new one to watch. But I did watch 1 through 4, and it's interesting to see the sequels do end up getting a little more. I don't want to say mainstream because the franchise always is a little off kilter from everything else. By virtue of just being Phantasm alone. But the movies do end up getting a little more, I hesitate formulaic because formulaic sounds negative. They're not formulaic, but I guess more traditional in terms of action and pacing and that kind of stuff than the original. The original is a little more kind of out there, I think, than the sequels.
Oh, so actually, it's funny. I just came across this trivia, actually, to go. No, I normally do the trivia after, but I caught this one. It's funny. It said, although being very tall, standing at 6 feet 4 inches, Angus. So that's pretty tall.
That is pretty tall.
It says Angus Scrimm wore suits several sizes smaller and boots with lifts that added 3 inches to his height. So basically, what I said, I kind of visualized. I guess whatever the little tricks that they played worked, because I said he actually made himself appear taller than he kind of was.
Oh, okay.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know what else to say about this movie, Brian. I don't want to spoil it for those that have not seen it. So I won't go.
Right.
So I won't go like line by line through the film. But there's some shocking developments in this movie. I will have to say that are probably unexpected. And I think that's another reason that makes this movie so great. There's nothing about this movie that you can predict. In my mind, everything in it is off from everything else that was being done at the time. I think, like you said earlier, I think it was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Because I would have put this firmly in there, several years later in the early 80s, if that. But for it to come out in 1979, I mean, it's amazing. But I really love seeing the brother dynamic in this movie between Mike and Jody, and then and you see it too between Mike and Reggie, especially as the sequels go on.
Yeah.
I really like seeing that brother dynamic. It's not something you really see a whole lot in horror movies, and again, that's a very strong reason why I see all the supernatural.
Right. I think a lot of, like, especially the early Supernaturals. Remember when they used to drive to remember how the show started, the first couple seasons?
It was Monster of the Week type episodes.
Yeah, and it was like, I remember that was when they were rumored like you were going to have Jason on it at some point.
Yeah.
But, and it was kind of like that especially, I mean, obviously, I kind of lost somewhere in season 5. I have all of the seasons on DVD, and that's one of the things, I mean, that was one of the projects I was considering after the Twilight Zone project. Once I finished, was maybe going through the entire Supernatural series. I think would be a fun series.
Yeah, I stopped around season 6. I think was the last season I watched. So obviously I'm way behind, but I would like to watch that whole series again. I just don't have the time. But
yeah, it'll be tough. But I'm gonna try and do that one. I mean, it's like funny. It's like, as it got to more linear storylines, it was good, but it was like I kind of liked the the beginning parts more a little bit back then. I mean, now I don't know, Sam. I don't know where they're at in the storyline. I know that it got really, really good. Like, I know Seth was watching it a lot, so he got big into it. So I know the storylines were good. It wasn't that. It's just, I mean, when I stopped, I kind of definitely, like, looking back, I kind of like that, like, Monster of the Week kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a cool premise.
Yeah.
But
let's talk about the spheres, the balls of death or whatever, because those are the things that really creeped me out when I was a kid. I mean, what a interesting concept in a movie. Like, it's such a iconic thing about this whole series. If you say Phantasm, people instantly think the flying metal balls.
yeah, wasn't that even one of the slogans, like the ball is back?
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
for one of the sequels. I don't remember which one, but
Yeah. I mean, that's like, it's almost more iconic than the tall man in some ways.
Yeah.
When you look at it, I mean, that's what I remembered when people said Phantasm. I thought of the flying ball. I didn't think of the tall man. But yeah, so those things were super, super cool. I think they're like sort of like the Swiss Army knife of flying metal orbs, because they have tools for every occasion. I think they have lasers at one point. They've got obviously the those things that stick in your head and then drill you, which is their most common use, I guess.
yeah, and then it would spurt out like a spigot, you know, where it would like pour out the other side.
Yeah,
it's kind of
what
funny.
a terrifying concept, though. These things that fly around. You know, and that's again a little bit ahead of its time. Because if you think about it, think of like drones and stuff now. These machines that could kind of hover and fly around and stuff. That's, you know, this is decades before we had drones flying around.
Imagine that in a Phantasm horror house at Halloween Horror Nights, where they have like the drones in the house, and but it's the ball.
Oh, but
How cool would that
be
be?
so cool.
That would be amazing. Did you see like the thing they were doing with the Universal did that, where they said the pteranodons escaped and they had these things flying over
No,
Hollywood? I think it was a drone they used or something.
no, I have to go look
It's a
that
video.
up.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, you could see it. And Facebook was tweeting it. Just look at Universal Jurassic Park World. It was promotion for the new ride, and they had those.
Oh, that's
around
cool.
or
Yeah, I remember the when Disney did the flying dragon thing. That was
Right,
super
it's like
cool.
that.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's basically like that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever want to see some hilarious videos, go watch where the guy hooked a Grim Reaper costume up to a drone and was flying around and like scaring people in a park. That was hilarious.
Oh my God, that's
it was like a
awesome.
flying Grim Reaper just like flying at you. It was hilarious. People running and screaming. It was pretty cool. Yeah, and the balls are definitely responsible for most of the gore and kills in the movie. Although not completely responsible. There are some other really good gore effects, especially like at the end of Phantasm when the tall man is quote unquote destroyed.
Yeah, no, they were good. There was a thing. It was like, there was like one funny one where the one guy got hit with the ball in the face, and it was a jump cut kind of a thing where it like went.
Yeah,
and it was like cut into his head. But yeah, I mean, it was still a lot of cool stuff like in this movie, and it's just a very visually fun movie to watch.
and overall, I think the effects still hold up pretty well for it to be 1979.
Oh, yeah.
I think they hold up really, really well.
Yeah. I mean, the one I loved was such a simple one with the part with his hand where he's like he slams the door and he thinks he's like totally like slammed the door, but his hand is still in there, just moving around, and he's like tapping on it, going. And he's like clapping like the thing, and then he just slices it off. But there's a lot of cool stuff. And then whatever that like fly thing, the bug that came out.
Oh
of the
yeah,
sink.
that was cool. Well, that's another example of
Yeah.
how you never know where this movie's going, because you got the tall man, you got these dwarf things running around, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes this bug thing.
Yeah, well, that was his finger turned into the bug,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is you never know what's going to happen in this movie. I think it's another reason I think it's so cool is because it's always the unexpected. You can't just predict. It's not some serial mass killer that you always know it's going to be that killer busting through the door. You never know what's coming through the door because the tall man can generate anything.
Yeah, and I mean, they know that he's the key to it, though. You know, they know that they need to stop him. But it's like he's by far not the only threat they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Like I always crack up at the sequence where he's like with the girls in the car and it gets attacked. He gets thrown out the back window. There's a lot of like almost like it's not supposed to play for comedy, but you know I don't know why I just laugh because it's so like I guess it's part of the unexpectedness of what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
it's a really like Brian said, trippy. It's a very trippy movie. So I would definitely encourage you, if you have not seen Phantasm, to see it. And keep in mind when you watch it that the sequels kind of help gel all this together. I mean, when you first see, like I said, when you first see Phantasm, it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around it. But as the sequels go on, you start to settle into the pattern and the feel of the movies and the lore of this kind of universe. And I think it will help you appreciate the original more upon looking back on it.
Right. And, this version, J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot basically remastered it.
Yeah.
So it looks better than ever, really. So.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. Brian, I used to have a Phantasm 3 clock.
Really?
I don't remember where I got it or who got it for me or how I came across this thing. And I'm like devastated that I don't still have it. I think at some point it got thrown out in a move or yard sale or something. But yeah, it was an actual Phantasm 3 clock. Of all things. Wow. It was really weird.
Well, anyone listening, if they find one,
I would love to have my Phantasm 3 clock back. So, Brian, what did you come up with our beer pairing for Phantasm?
So, this one was got to be one of the easiest beer pairings we ever had. And the beer is actually Phantasm. And it's from Acorn Brewery in Womble, Barnsley, which is South Yorkshire, England. So, probably not too far from our good buddy Matt from Yorkshire, who lives there, of course. And so this one's 4.5% ABV. There's really not like a fun description for it, but it's definitely modeled after the film because the bottle has the ball on it.
Oh, cool. Okay, so it's definitely film related.
Yeah, it is definitely that. And it comes out every October. It's a seasonal October beer, so it's definitely horror themed. And so it's very pale yellow ale, well hopped with New Zealand hops to give citrus, pine, and pine-like aromas. So that's really the only description I found on it, but it was definitely a no-brainer, and it's like, how am I going to top that?
Yeah. Okay. I was hoping for a little more kick to a beer, named after Phantasm, but okay. All right, I'll take it.
Well, it might just be this site makes, as in the brewery itself chose not to, give a cool description, but it's definitely, they're obviously fans of the series to name one of their seasonal releases after it. But I guess the very pale yellow ale, because remember that what the tall man's innards blood was all yellow.
That's true. So I guess you could tie it there. Yeah.
So maybe that's where they tied it in.
All right. So our triple threat answer, which we stumped Cody on, I was happy to say. I'm sorry, Cody, but we've been trying to stump you, and we finally did. We were looking for an actor or actress, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer. It was Debbie Rochon.
Yes.
So clue number 1, I appeared in one of the all-time classic horror films, yet not when it was originally released. This was probably the most giveaway clue we had, which is not saying much because it was still tough. But Debbie appeared in the newly added scenes in Night of the Living Dead 30th Anniversary Edition from 1999. Although I studied acting in New York City, I was actually born in Vancouver, British Columbia. So Debbie was born in Vancouver and was able to save up enough money to move to New York City and study acting while also getting some work in the theater. And our final clue, while I'm primarily known for my roles in films, I had several writing columns in various publications throughout my career and still do to this day. So Debbie has written for several magazines such as the Joe Bob Report and Fangoria.
Yeah, so that was, like we said, I had told Cody the hint. If you get that first one, you can probably piece it together. But it's tricky if you think about it because, I don't know if people knew that when they did release that Night of the Living Dead 30th Anniversary, they actually filmed a bunch of new sequences. And it did not blend well.
Yeah, I knew that, but just reading that clue, I would have probably not remembered.
Yeah, you would have had to but you would have had to start Googling horror re-releases.
Yeah.
And then gone from there. But I remember I was not it looked awkward. It looked like it was just new, filmed in black and white. Like it didn't have the it's like they didn't.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to do anyway.
Yeah, it was. By the way, just so you know, your clock, you can buy it still. Your Phantasm 3 clock, it's going for $89 each.
Oh, and I threw it away.
Oh, sorry, $69. It's cheaper and it's a site called Factory, which looks like it's a Phantasm site. PHACTORY.
Oh.
So there you go, Tim. You can. So anyone wants to give Tim a nice gift. It was the one was it with Angus Scrimm holding the ball?
Yeah.
So this is the one. It was actually a promotional item.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so
the fact
sick
that you
I
got
rid of that. Oh, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
That was before I had a horror podcast, guys. So
yeah, see, now you need it because it was basically what it was. It was created by Universal Home Entertainment for the release of of Phantasm 3.
Wow. Yeah.
So if you want to, they have a limited amount left on this site.
Yeah,
Factory,
that's it.
so.
That's it. I'm looking at it now. Yep.
Yep, so there you go, Tim.
All right. Well, our triple threat this week, we're looking for another actor or actress. And I think this one's a little easier, Brian.
Yes.
Not a gimme. This isn't a gimme.
No. But I tried to go a little bit easier because I felt a little guilty on that last one.
All right. So, clue number 1. While I'm a full-grown adult, I did play a baby more than once. Clue number 2, I was featured on the soundtrack for my first ever movie credit. And clue number 3, I once owned my own personal clothing line that one of my co-stars wore in one of my films. So there are your triple threat clues for this week, an actor or actress. Fitting all these clues, of course, we'll post them on social media so that you can see them written out. And we'll go from there. Like I said, I think this was a little easier than last week, but definitely not a gimme. You'll have to do a little research on that one.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so we'll see you back here next week to discuss the sequel to Phantasm, Phantasm 2, and see the direction this series is going in. Like I said, I will be on travel, but we will have a full episode releasing next week, and we'll continue our summer vacation after that with the rest of the series, Phantasm 3, 4, and 5. And then further down the road, we'll be wrapping up our summer vacation series with the Scream franchise, which, again, I'm definitely looking forward to revisiting because I have not seen any of the Scream movies in forever.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one to go over.
All right, guys, so take care. Watch out for those flying balls.
Boy,